YouTube. What you're looking at is a down, dead, dry, common poplar. Now I see everybody using tulip poplar, and I'm wondering if I can do the same with common poplar when it's this dead dried out. Well, I'm going to get busy with my saw, cut me off a few chunks of this and save me some of this bark. We'll take it back to my undisclosed location and see if I can't make a fire. Alright, we'll catch you later. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think once I process this further down, that'll make some fine hearth boards for bow and hand drill. And this bark, it looks awful fibrous, might just make good tinder to put a coal into. And all that from just a piece of that limb. Now, this is in a place where nobody's going to bother it, and that's a broken off top of that. Broken from the storm, I'd imagine. And it's well cured, well seasoned, and hard as a rock, so, well, as opposed to punkwood, that is. I may just come back here with a bigger saw and process that up and take it with me. But we've got enough for my experiment for now. We'll catch you later. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. This is one point that I will agree wholeheartedly with Dave Canterbury on. Possum mentality. When you see something you can use, don't wait 6 hours, 6 days, 6 weeks. Pick it up now. I've done that. I've picked up and processed enough hearth boards, well, enough material to keep me in hearth boards for several months if this experiment works out. In the meantime, we'll shout out for David West, the self-proclaimed expert on primitive fire, all things primitive friction fire. What do you think, David? Everybody touts on tulip poplar. What about common poplar? Will it make a good hearth board for hand drill and bow drill? I'll find out soon enough if you don't answer me, but it'd be nice if you did. Whilst I'm shouting you out, David, I asked you a question a while back, and you've not bothered to answer me. I don't know why. I wanted to know what your particular experience in using eastern red cedar bark for fire roll was. And since you haven't answered me, I'm going to share the answers of what my reactions have been with it for the public. Don't waste your time. The fibers in eastern red cedar are not strong enough for the job. When you spread it out and you put the ash on, you roll it up, it looks like a kitty turd full of hair, just like any of the others David does and has shown you. The trouble is, when you start to put friction to it between two boards, the fibers of eastern red cedar just simply disintegrate. They're not strong enough to hold up to the job. So, maybe I've saved somebody some effort. The eastern red cedar fiber is great for a bird's nest, but it stinks for firewood. Prepper Emberado. Peace out. So, y'all are going to ask me, Prepper Emberado, why don't you just go find some tulip poplar instead of playing with that common poplar? Well, I have been looking for tulip poplar in the area where I'm in since July of 2008. I recently contacted a tree arborist, a tree specialist. And the local arborist tells me that here in this part of New England, tulip poplar is about 1 in 100,000 to 1 in 500,000 as a tree species. That's a lot of trees to go through to find tulip poplar. No wonder I ain't found it since 2008. Until just yesterday. I happened on to finding a whole 3 of them. 2 in one place, actually, and 1 somewhere else. Well, that's all well and good. So now I know where there are 3 tulip poplars. The people who are responsible for and own the 2 that are in the same place have promised that when either a storm or the tree itself sheds a limb, they're going to save it for me and set it where I can get it. Great. Now we got to wait for either a storm strong enough or the tree to be in the mood to shed a limb. God only knows when that'll be. Especially considering we're in the wettest, historically the wettest month of the year for this part of the country. And we've not had a drop of rain in 30 days until today, and we had the briefest of passing showers, and it wasn't for everybody in the area. It was like a little here and a little there kind of thing. And normally by this time of this month, we've had 4 inches of rain. We've had a trace. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you something. See that yellow stain on the pavement there? It's not a stain. That's pollen. Oh my. If only there was an apiary local. They'd have a blast with it. Oh, and for those of you from Rio Linda that don't know what an apiary is, that's the term for a grouping of beehives. Usually about 3 or more makes up an apiary, as I understand it. I could be mistaken on the number. It might be 4 or 5, I don't know. It's just what I have to understand. And yes, you hear correctly, I'm sitting about 100 yards from a major highway in a parking lot waiting on a group to be picked up to take back to where they came from. So, as I was saying, the third tulip poplar is near a major river in a public boat launch. And again, I simply have to wait for it to be in the mood to shed a limb, or a storm to come along and rip one off. And then I gotta wait for it to dry out and cure. Funny thing is, I just found a common poplar that's already all cured, dried out, ready to use. So, I think we're going to try the experiment with common poplar. I know you can do it with most any wood, but they say tulip is the best, it's the easiest, etc. The grain is straight and neat and true. Well, funny, so's the common poplar. Or at least the pieces I see here are very straight grained. Granted, the limb that I cut off has a little twist here, a little twist there. But they're at just the right points. That's where I'm going to make my cut when I then go to process it down into boards for hearth boards. So I will have nice, neat 12-inch sections. I just wish I had a fancy chop saw like Mr. West has. I don't. I'm going to be doing it by hand with a handsaw. And guess what? I think I'll be using a Japanese finishing saw. Yes, I have one of those too. I also have the old standard hand rip saw. I don't think that would work so well for what I want. And then, of course, I've got my folding saw and I've got a bow saw. And I don't think either of those would work so well. No, I take that back. The standard hand ripping saw might do the job. But it's going to be a real pain and a lot of work to do it by hand. Unless I can find somebody with bandsaw, that'd be, hey, wait a minute, maybe I can take it over to the school and get the school wood shop to slab them out for me. That would be interesting. I'm going to give that a try. I'm going to take them over to the school wood shop and see if I can get them to slab them off about so for me. We'll let you know how it works out. Peace out.